Farm4Profit podcast. Take a listen, have a blast. Farm4Profit podcast. Learn about farming while having a laugh. Farm4Profit podcast.
So sad. Are we ever going to be able to open a Busch Light and not say that?
We'll see if they re-up their contract.
That's true. That's true. Let's see if we can find you a new one. I think this one, by judging by the waves, you got to wait a second for the beat to drop.
This is sweet. Like how long?
3, 2.
I can work with it. Today on the Farm4Fun show, we get an interview, a woman that has been a great voice and example for not only ag, but for being a great human. She has shared her story, experiences, ups and downs from being an agronomist, entrepreneur, leaving the ag industry, starting in the tech field, and much more along the way. She has over 13,000 followers on TikTok, 8,500 on Twitter, over 1,000 on Instagram. Please welcome from Michigan, Miss Marcia Cripps.
All right. Woo-wee.
What is up? Hello?
Ceiling.
Oh, the ceiling's up. Well, she's not even wowed by it at all. She just got done telling us she's just got off like 5
This is
other
her eighth
podcasts.
podcast.
Yeah, the day. She's on like some media tour.
I don't know about that. Media tour in quotation marks for people that can't see this.
That is funny.
So you have a very unique story. We've followed you for several years now. I think we connected on TikTok probably, and then other branches. But how do you introduce yourself?
I'm Marcia. I'm a software engineer, entrepreneur, and I just I'm trying to figure out what we're all doing here on this floating rock and enjoying myself while I go through the journey of life.
So why the hell would we have a software engineer on an agricultural podcast?
Probably because of my background, I'm going to assume. So my previous life to being a software engineer, I was an agronomist, and before that, I was an ag retail sales rep, and I sold crop protection. And then before that, I was a student studying agriculture. And then if we want to jump back even further, I was waitressing at Hooters before I even thought about agriculture.
Oh.
And then if you want to jump back even further, I am from China. That's where I'm originally from. And then I grew up in Flint, Michigan.
And you grew up where?
Flint, Michigan. You might have heard of the town. We've
Yeah.
got a little bit of a water issue.
So you don't still live in Flint?
My parents do. But weird thing, though, is people don't believe me, but I grew up in a farm in Michigan. Like, people don't realize there's actually agriculture in Flint. So my dad, he did hobby farming, so he did hay and alfalfa, and that's my introduction to agriculture, in addition to my grandfather and uncle who have a blueberry farm in Alpena, Michigan, Cripps family fruit farm.
Just blueberries?
Well, not anymore. Back when it was in operation, correct. It was blueberries, raspberries, and then they had other crops as well. But I guess I better be clear. My dad was born in 1943. So a little bit of an age gap.
Okay, so older
He's
dad.
going to turn 80 this year.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Michigan's very big blueberry state, Tanner.
It is.
That's because of the acidic soils?
That is correct.
Boom.
So how did you get from China to Michigan? I mean,
So I'm
besides an
adopted.
airplane or a boat.
Yeah, airplane would be the direct answer, but I am adopted. My father, he's American, mostly German background, and then my mother is 100% Japanese, so that's the reason why I can speak Japanese, is because my mom's Japanese, but I am Chinese, so very international family.
Wow.
Holy smokes. I don't know where to go next with my... Whether you go with humor or you go with another serious question.
It's very
I like to
interesting.
tell people I'm German.
That's funny.
That
That's
would-
funny.
yes.
I'm German.
Whenever anybody asks me, like, oh, what's your nationality? I'm like, oh, I'm German. Like, can't you tell my last name is very German?
That's actually really funny. And listeners, if you don't get that joke, that means you need to go to YouTube
Yeah.
and watch this.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. So Flint, Michigan. So
I guess I better be clear. Yeah, everybody can't visually see what I look like, but if you go to like Instagram or TikTok, you can tell that I'm very Asian.
She said it.
Yeah, I suppose we could say that.
That's right.
See, it's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
You won't get in trouble.
Yeah.
With me.
So I'm still, because all I've heard is what you read in the news about Flint, Michigan. We did have Monte Morris, a basketball player, play for Iowa State and ran a donation campaign to send a bunch of bottled water back. For those that aren't up to speed, kind of like myself, what's that story behind Flint?
It's still a problem. The water is still a problem. It never got fixed. So, yeah, unfortunately, a lot of red tape. I'm going to try not to get too political on here, but pretty much a bunch of red tape made it so it really got fixed. So people of Flint, Michigan are still being negatively affected. And it's really sad, too, because you'll see, like, a bunch of water just, like, stocked up in Flint, Michigan going unused. And it's probably, like, no good now because it's been, like, melted in the buildings from the heat because nobody was really watching it. So unfortunately, I mean, I'm proud to be from Flint, Michigan, but a lot of mismanagement and disorganization and problems with distribution. And yeah, it's not an easy solution. And I feel like nothing is. Everything's super complex nowadays. But yeah, I can only hope that in the future, thanks to innovation and hopefully just people bringing awareness, we can turn things around. But it's been really slow.
What was the root cause of that? I guess I never really looked into it that much. Failing infrastructure or?
Yeah, a combination. Like, it was just like, that disease triangle, IPM.
Oh, yeah.
I know you guys
Yep.
are like farmers.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, it was just like the perfect storm of situations going wrong to just happen all at once.
Yeah.
So
You got to have a pathogen.
not good regulation.
Environment.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Very good.
Yep.
That's why
A plus for you.
That's why he's a co-host. Yeah, have him jump right in there.
A plus for you. Yeah. So no, it was just bad decisions that were made by a couple of political figures, and then not following up on the infrastructure and not making the right repairs, and kind of taking some shortcuts, and we ended up in a bad predicament. I feel like growing up in Flint, we always knew there was something wrong with the water. Like, I always got told, hey, never, like, touch it. Don't ever drink out of it. But, like, we never quite had, like, a real concrete answer for what was wrong with it until the whole story blew up. But,
Right.
yeah.
That's got to be hard. How do you avoid touching it?
Well, I'm lucky. My parents have well water because, like I said, we live kind of on a hobby farm.
Yeah.
So we never had it, but like, it was gross. Like, when I was bartending at Hooters in Flint, that's where I worked, like, the water, like, at the bar, it would like look like Miller Lite. That was like the best way to put it.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah, so it's like, you knew there was, like, you could tell there was something wrong. Like, maybe you wouldn't have known, like, what was exactly wrong with it, but you knew, okay, I probably shouldn't touch this.
Yeah. Well, I guess no better reason than to not drink water at the bar. Just get some beer.
That's right.
Yeah.
Get an actual Miller Lite.
Get some alcohol.
Yeah.
Man, but even the ice cubes had to suck.
So back to your days as a Hooters waitress.
Describe that in a picture.
I was gonna hit one of my latest pet peeves, and I can't even be original for this. Like, I had the original thought. I swear I had the original thought, but now everybody talks about it, and it's about tipping.
Oh,
Okay. So clearly, in the role that you served, tipping was a major part of your time as a waitress, correct?
Yep.
But you had to work for those tips. And
Agreed.
I gotta think of how else to say this. I'm treading lightly.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about tipping if it's a takeout order, or it's in a non-typical place? Like, I think of tipping a waitress.
Non-typical place.
Yeah, non-typical. I love that. Let's first start with takeout. I ordered takeout. It's post-COVID.
You got pizza at Pizza Hut.
Pizza, and I got to walk up, and I go to pay, and they spin the thing around, and it gives me my tip options. What's your take on that?
Oh, I mean, when I was on the other side, like, I didn't mind getting a tip here and then, but I don't think it should be mandatory or like giving guilt to the consumer to tip. Like, I know now, I think thanks to those square readers, it's very easy to feel the guilt of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I've been very lucky that I got to see a different perspective of the service industry by visiting my family in Japan, because tipping is rude in Japan. Like, you don't tip people. Like,
Really?
it's considered rude, and like who are you to tell somebody like to do their job faster, like, kind of thing. And then in Japan, like what you'd make with tips is included in a fair hourly wage, where like here in America, like I got paid $2 an hour as a server.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what I got paid. And obviously you make it up in tips. And that's just the system that we have. So that's my answer. In America, I think it's nice to tip if you feel so gracious, but I don't think it should be a mandatory requirement. But if you want to make it a mandatory requirement, I think at that point you might as well just include it into the host's hourly wage. But that's just my thought on it. I could be right, could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So do you tip the same or less at the restaurants to where you like order from your cell phone or order from your iPad?
Right. I am guilty.
I do 20% flat.
Yeah, I'm guilty of the 20% just all the time.
Yeah.
Because I feel I guilted in, like you said, when they flip, even if you're just go in, order, take it, no service. And my mom will be like, "What are you doing?" And it's like, I don't know. I just feel bad, I guess. I don't know.
I also
Same
feel
reasoning.
I also feel like I'm willing to tip more if I know that you get it. I know there's some places where tips get shared or they all go into a pot and it's split throughout the night. But if I know, like if I'm going around the country club and I know that the cart gal that just made me my cocktail is going to get my tip,
Mm-hmm.
I feel more apt to do more.
I think the local bar told me one time, it was probably during COVID, when you couldn't even sit in the restaurant, that if you tipped on a takeout, the cooks got it.
Oh.
So that's kind of probably where I started tipping, just because someone's getting it that probably isn't getting paid enough.
Yeah. So now as you compare that portion of your employment versus working in ag retail, because you were involved, is it purely as an agronomist or were you also ag retail?
So I started my career working for a large crop protection place, company. I'm not going to name drop them,
Good.
but
No free ads.
I would sell to like nutrients. I would sell to like, you know what I mean? Like retailers,
Yeah.
like those were my customers.
Yeah. So how did you feel the treatment compared between your role as a waitress to selling crop protection?
You know, it was crazy because you'd think like working at a place like Hooters, like I would have like a bunch of crazy stories, but no, the majority of my crazy stories actually come from working in ag with like people being slightly inappropriate, if you get my drift here.
Uh-huh.
Which like I didn't think so. Like I thought it'd be the opposite. Like I remember like when I first started working the new sales job, I was like, okay, cool. I'm like, I'm not going to have weird stuff. Like I think I had like only 2 times where weird stuff happened to me at Hooters, and it's because the person was like super drunk, and I was like, oh, that's never going to happen again. Like it's a professional setting, but no, it's, try to word this eloquently and nicely. There's people that I've met that are amazing. Like, I'm not trying to make like a blanket statement here, but there's a couple of incidences that happen that really will probably never leave me because of how bad they were. And what I mean by bad, like just on a unprofessional level, bad. And then I was really shocked to have like my race be such a problem. And I think that's that one of these major events that were bad is what led me to get out of sales. I was already kind of leaning toward agronomist anyways, but like it really like sped up that process. And yeah. And then again, I had like some other events as an agronomist that also just like pushed me out of the agriculture industry, which I look at it two ways. I feel like I always had the aptitude for tech, but I never like just acted on it. But at the same time, I feel like if these negative events didn't happen, I probably would still be an agronomist.
Right. So let's not jump to the tech yet. Let's talk about the agronomy. I mean, let's talk about the good parts of what did you like about agronomy and ag?
The people, like the good people, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I like meeting my mentor. I know Steve Lander, you're probably going to listen to this, like meeting people like him, Mark Bedito, that really helped me like combine like what I was learning at school and make it like real. I think one of the best moments I've ever had was like sitting on the back of a tailgate, and I know I'm going to sound like a nerd and I'm going to call us all out, but just talking about like soil sample results.
Right.
And one of my greatest moments, and I will credit Mark Bedito for this, was he brick wall. And what he always, because I was struggling at the time to take what I saw like on paper soil tests and relay it to like a grower. And he was like, Marcia, he's like, think of like a brick wall when you see your soil test. He's like, that the bricks are calcium, and he's like, the mortar that holds the bricks together, that's boron. And then he's like, how do you get bricks to a place? He's like, you need a pickup truck, or he's like, you need like a semi to bring supplies to a building construction site. And he's like, that's your potassium. And he's like, what? He's like, trucks don't run on nothing. He's like, you need to put gas or diesel in them. He's like, that's your ATP. And I think him taking the time to explain that to me has helped me so much. And I take that analogy, that brick wall analogy, and I try to replicate that in any technical thing that I'm trying to explain. Because I think he said it best. He's like, if you can't explain this stuff to somebody with like a high school education, he's like, you really don't know it yourself.
Right. I've never heard the brick wall analogy.
No, I wrote it down because I'm going to use it. I mean, you even just helped me understand it a little bit better just in your brief example.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad that helped. And then, like, he followed it up, too. He was like, he's like, if you see, like, a small K value on a soil test, he's like, you can think in your head, oh, that's just, like, a tiny little, like, Volkswagen, like, trying to get bricks to, a building site. You need something bigger. You need, like, an F-150.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Very interesting.
Yeah, he's like, you need, like, an F-150, or he's like, if it's a large building site, and then he related it back to CEC. So he's like, if you have a small CEC, he's like, an F-150 is going to do you just fine. But he's like, if you have a large CEC number, kind of like in Iowa, your soils probably have a bigger CEC. He's like, you better spend some money on a good semi-truck at that point.
Yeah. You got a lot more sites to feed. Very interesting.
Very. That was good.
So you were in ag for what? How many years?
Oh gosh, I think I was 22 when I started. I'm about to turn 28, so it was like 5 years.
5 years. And seems like you were well traveled and you know your stuff pretty well. But you know, women in ag is a really big thing now. And then you not only had to fight that front, you had to fight, like you said, race front. How? I mean, is that ultimately both those things? That's why you had to get out of there, besides, I mean, the creepo guys?
I mean, the creepo guys, luckily for me, and I feel like now we're at a point where people will stick up for you, like, no matter what in your organization, if you've got a creeper on your hands, hopefully. At least that's what I'm being optimistic about. I think the thing that bothered me was my performance. Like, the metrics I had to hit changed for me. And then I think some of the feedback I got when, like, you guys probably do this, I don't know, at your jobs, where you have like those reviews, like annual or biannual reviews, and like getting told stuff like, you just don't look the part, or like, you're making our customers feel uncomfortable because you don't look the part. And like, pretty much from those context clues, I like picked up, okay, it's not anything to do with my agronomic abilities or sales capabilities. It's to do with something else, unfortunately. But once again, I want to reiterate, this is not toward everybody, but it's just like the experience, even though it was like very few, was bad enough, like to the point where like
Sure.
it encouraged me to go look at something else, unfortunately.
I'm so sorry that happened to you. I mean, what do they expect by saying that? What do you want, a fat old bald white guy to come out and sell you something? Like, look the part? Who the fuck cares?
Right. Well, that's hard.
And like I said, I'm not going to name drop,
No.
but it was a pretty large, reputable company that told me that. And it wasn't one person that told me that. It was like 1, 2, 3 higher up people that literally sat me down and told me that. They were like, "Oh yeah, you're hitting your metrics. You're hitting X, Y, and Z like we asked you, but because you don't look the part, we want you to hit these other metrics." And I hate using the word, and maybe you might want to put a warning when you edit this, but like that is oppression right there.
It
like,
is.
Like oppression, like my definition of oppression, and I mean a few other people on TikTok might fight me on this, is that if I have to jump 50 feet where other people have to only jump 5 feet
Right.
because of my gender orientation or however I present my, like stuff that I can't change, then that they're oppression.
Right. And I don't want to come off bad in saying this, but you're more of a value to them than they were to you, because all these companies now have quotas of, we need X amount of women and this race or all that, like, and then for them to come out and say that to you when you're above and beyond where you need to be, it shouldn't freaking matter. It pisses me off. God, I'm sorry that happened to you.
It's funny that you brought that up, Corey, because they would want me in pictures. Like, for example, like May right now, like the time that we're recording this is Asian Pacific Heritage Month, and they would want me in a picture for that, like a corporate photo, but like literally like one meeting before inviting me to this corporate photo shoot, like that was their feedback.
Oh my gosh. That's bad.
Wow.
That's really bad. Like, that's like lawsuit bad. And
yeah, and I've had other situations too where like I worked at another company selling inputs as well, and like there was this event, like customer appreciation event, and I couldn't go to it because it was men only.
Oh my god.
But my customers could go, but I couldn't bring them.
Look, I want to take my headset off. I don't have words to say. I mean, and I can't. The problem that I also am experiencing right now is I can't relate. I don't have that. I mean, the closest thing I even have to relating is earlier on in my career, I chose to grow facial hair because nobody wanted to get a loan from somebody that looked like they were 16 years old. I don't have anything else besides something
Just
like
lucky
that.
You could grow facial hair.
Barely. Barely. Yeah.
Huh.
What a deal. I mean, and then to ultimately drive a career change.
Correct. Yeah. And I think, my final, like, I remember like the day, like the final straw that I had was, like just getting told like, hey, no, you're not a priority. I think this is when I was an agronomist. Like I asked, pretty much a vendor to like help me do something pretty much. Like I was like, hey, I just need some work done. And like, just getting told like straight up, hey, you're just not a priority for me. Like,
yeah,
that was like the final straw. Like it had nothing to do with like any of the sensitive topics that we just covered. It was just being told, hey, straight up, you're just not a priority. Like, and then also just a couple of other disrespectful things like that. And then I lost passion. So I tell people like the real like root reason I left was, I remember I woke up that day and I got like a call from like a scout, and they were like, hey, like this field, bunch of nitrogen burn happened, and I was happy. And I was like, good. I'm like, I don't have to schedule stuff for that section anymore.
Yeah.
And like when I noticed, I was like, okay, if I don't care about yield anymore, like I better be looking to do something else. And I decided this time around, I'm like, I'm gonna pick a career where it's a set 9 to 5 and like preference on remote. And I was always good at math in school, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give software engineering a try. And I went home that day, pulled out my 10-year-old MacBook and started coding for the first time. And then 5 months later, I landed a job in tech.
Wow.
All right.
Let's get into that.
Yes.
Yes. We need
And if you were good in math, you should have been a banker, but we'll get back to that.
I bet she makes more than that.
Let's take a
I do
little.
option trading.
All right, don't go any further. We're gonna pause here. We're gonna taste something that we think is gonna be interesting.
So our video editor, Kiowa,
Who's the man?
went on a grease trip.
You may want to take a sip of your water. I don't want you to dilute this too much.
And got us some awesome Farm for Profit glasses.
Oh yeah, can we see? Yeah.
And this masticha, and then liqueur. That's the only two things I can pronounce on it. It's 200 milliliters. It's a clear bottle. All I know is when I took the label off, or the packaging off, is very sticky, so it must have a lot of sugar in it.
And we were told to drink it on the rocks.
Kind of smells like pine tar. So, pouring this out here.
That's good.
You try a little bit. So this is straight from Greece. I have no idea what their drink of choice is.
It does smell like pine tar.
Doesn't it?
It's got a little bit of.
But
a
it's
smell.
not like Tanqueray pine. Like it's not
That's
like
right.
it's not like a Pauline.
It is clear.
That's very sweet. It's sweet pine tar. It's like sap.
Oh, it is. It's almost like
Feels a little melony.
Melanie?
Melanie. That's what we should call it. That's probably what this. That's probably Greece for Melanie.
I'm in agreement with Kyle on this one. This is pretty good. Yeah.
I don't know how. We got to have a better descriptive for what we're talking about because Marcia has no idea what this tastes like.
It definitely smells like pine, though.
Oh, the best part about this is someone on the bottle hand wrote in that 5 for 25% volume. Like someone put like 24 and like, no, it's 25.
So the nose feel is definitely pine needles. It is very smooth to drink.
Man, Kiowa, you are the man. Thank you for that. And thank you for all you do.
It kind of tastes a little bit like Christmas.
I like it.
That's good. And yeah, you don't mix this with anything. This is really good.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right. We are going in to software engineering.
I don't even know what that means.
So a software engineer is a person that creates software pretty much, or programs. And programs at their very base are just a set of instructions to do stuff. And that is what I do now. And as the co-owner and COO of Agfluence, that is also what that's my freelance that I do with Ashley Davenport. We work with agriculture businesses as well as ag tech businesses. And we pretty much help them create custom scripts, work with bug fixes. And my day job, I work at a medical tech company, and I do back-end engineering. So pretty much automation, where like nurses, doctors, or like insurance companies, they don't have to like send emails or do anything. Everything just happens, I like to say, automatically.
Automatically.
So
It would be nice if this episode edited itself automatically.
So that would be nice. Maybe she
We're
could do
getting
that.
there.
Yeah, well, we kind of are. Hey, with AI and all that kind of stuff, we're there almost. So I kind of followed this journey a little bit. It wasn't that long ago you were an agronomist, and now you're a software engineer. And you did this very quickly. How did that happen?
So I did it for $0. I didn't go back to school, and I used YouTube University. Taught me how to be a software engineer.
And that got you enough to get a job?
Yep, full-time job, and obviously I had to like make my own like projects, and I had to work on a portfolio, and I still had to pass a technical interview. So like interviews as a software engineer is they pretty much give you like a math problem but with code. But then they take away your computer and you have to like go on a whiteboard. That's why they're called whiteboarding interviews, and you got to solve it. Like,
Really?
I think I'd like this.
So can you technically on your resume say engineer? Like you had a degree in engineering?
I don't have a degree in engineering. I got a degree in agronomy.
But you can put that you're a software engineer.
Yep.
Which makes you an engineer.
I did write code, and I successfully deployed it, so ergo, I'm a software engineer.
That's awesome. So I took a class in high school, and I don't know if it was software engineering. It was like a lot of what if then type stuff. Is it like way beyond that stuff?
Wasn't that Excel?
No. This was like I did not understand it at all.
So you probably took like an introductory computer science course.
Yeah.
If you're saying else if, and then you're like, yeah, that's pretty much how you line up what you're listing off as conditionals. So like an example one is like if you wrote a program where it accepts any number and you only have to return evens, like, yeah, you'd use like conditionals like if it's even, return, and then else, everything else, don't return it, for example.
Yeah, it was an AP course, Tanner.
That's a program.
It's no big deal.
I did all of those in math.
I struggled. I could not figure it out. There was a lot of like zeros and weird
Math things?
Not for me. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even like the math didn't make sense to me then. That's cool.
But I do think it's neat that you're taking this newfound skill of yours and bringing it back to agriculture.
That is correct. I'm currently working on kind of a pet, like, passion project where I'm taking all the stuff that I learned as an agronomist, and what it'll do is it'll just scan like whatever soil test, and it'll write a rec based on how I would write it. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Just another brick in the wall. That's what you should call it.
Brick in the wall.
Just another brick in the wall.
Hey, that's a good idea.
There you go.
And then of course I want to share that information, and at this point, like what I kind of want to do with my social media, and that I've kind of been doing, is I just want to share all the information I have, especially on agronomy, because if the software engineering journey taught me anything, it is that I think education should be free to anybody that has an interest. Because I used to be in that camp where I thought, the knowledge that I know from getting my bachelor's and master's in agronomy should be only kept to people that have the level to get to a bachelor's and master's. And this software engineering journey made me do a whole 180 on that thinking.
Right.
Yeah, I just don't know where to go with that, because it opens up the door for so many different perspectives. I mean, you would think that if I didn't have a degree in finance, I'm not going to get a job as an ag lender at a bank.
Right.
There's no...
Yeah, no one's going to say, he watched a bunch of YouTube videos. Now
and can now run debt service coverage calculations and can, make sure that leverage is correctly positioned. There's no whiteboarding for a job interview in standard banking hires. So it's kind of neat that...
Oh, really?
Correct. It's basically degree and years of experience driven, and then a standard question answer, how do you go about this? But I never have... In the 14 different roles, I'm exaggerating, but climbing all the way up through banking, I never once had to prove that I could underwrite a credit.
That's kind of what's great about tech, right? You can either do it or you can't.
It's true.
And your skills probably shown.
Yeah.
Which I think is part of the demand. I feel like there's such a high demand for tech, so that's why like companies like Google introduce the technical whiteboard test and then also remove degree off of all their stuff. So I'm wondering if, honestly, like ag financing doesn't do something similar. Like, I mean, I feel like what's to stop them? Like, if they just remove the degree component and said, hey, if you can pass like a whiteboard interview where you underwrite like an example and you do it correctly, then you're in.
Well, and I think it's great because you talk about all these industries that are having the age gap of retired people moving out of the industry. Banking's one of the leading. Everybody's old and ready to be done, to where if you're only going to allow candidates for replacements that have finance degrees or comparable years of experience, then you should be able to allow somebody that wants to chase their passion in finance and numbers and give them a chance to prove themselves.
Right.
Makes sense.
Are you all remote now? Is that what you said?
That is correct.
So have you ever like met your boss, or is it all just like, that's a person out there that's coding?
Oh, I met them. Yeah, like when I first like got hired, I went to the actual like place and like stayed there for like a month, and then after a while they were like, okay, now go do this at home, and that's where I've been.
That's awesome.
Sweet.
That is so cool. So you probably obviously don't have any of the issues that you had in the ag industry with, people.
Weather.
Yeah, weather, people, anything like that. So you can just kind of make your own schedule and go about it.
That is correct. Yeah. So, no, I'm blessed. I'm really glad that I did take the opportunity when I saw it and push myself to learn. It did take a little bit of a toll. I think I was coding like 30 to 40 hours a week plus working as an agronomist full time during harvest season. So you know how the hours are during harvest season.
Right.
So
yeah, that's hard. What would you
worth it?
What would you tell someone that wants to get in it that has no idea how to code? I mean, can they become a coder even if they don't know now?
Yes, and I recommend everybody to look into the free program that I did. It was a free boot camp on YouTube. It's called 100 Devs. So, and I recommend this even if you don't want to look at software engineering as a career. If you just want to automate like back office stuff or just automate some parts of your life away and you have time, I see no reason why not. Like, I've automated like so many things away just in my personal life off of the skill, and for other businesses and even my boyfriend's farm too. I've automated stuff away for him.
Give us an example, real world, of how has it made your life or your boyfriend's life easier?
So, for example, he needed to do some soil sampling, and pretty much to keep track of all of his fields, after we put in like all the information about them, it would automatically like spit out onto the printer like what the field names were, like all neatly typed and in sticker format. And then it would do it like literally on the day that I asked it to. And another program was, so forgive me, I don't have a lot of dairy background. So I guess he has to give a shot to the heifers like on a certain time period or whatever.
Right.
And are like from the day they got like artificially inseminated. And pretty much I created a program that would auto calculate it, and like every day, like he needed to go give a shot to somebody, it would print out on his printer, like, hey, go give these ones a shot.
Whoa.
Tanner, you need this.
For?
Everything. You need everything automated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be handy. So do you use AI for any of this?
Okay, when you say artificial intelligence, right?
Yes.
That's correct. Good call.
Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh. Chat
Just wanna be
GPT,
clear.
AI.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'm about to get on my artificial intelligence thing.
Let's
Okay.
do it. I'll set you up.
I think artificial intelligence is great, and ChatGPT, what you just mentioned, is an example of one tree in a forest of 1,000,000 trees.
Wow.
And it is still in its early stages. ChatGPT, I think the only thing it can successfully replace is like copywriting and maybe like writing social media captions, but it's not at a point where I think it could successfully replace like your job as a banker in financing or mine as a software engineer. So I use ChatGPT as just like another Google tool. It is a tool for me. It's just like, what's it called? Like instead of a screwdriver, this is just a drill for me.
Yeah.
Right. So
Which
you're
is-
not telling it to go, hey, I need code for this job, and it spits it out.
I mean, sometimes I ask for help on code. Like I'll ask it like, hey, where did I screw up here? Like,
Yeah.
And sometimes it's right, but a lot of the time I catch it and I'm like, that's wrong. Like, or that wouldn't work in the context of what I'm doing.
Sure. Yeah, for the show that just came out on Monday, the show that's going to air just before yours, is the first time we used ChatGPT to help generate questions for the outline.
Oh, cool.
So typed in the premise, who the guest is going to be, talked through a couple of the bullet points that we'd already put together, and then asked it to expand and provide more questions and a list. Mm-hmm. It was impressive.
Yeah, no, I'm not knocking it. It's very good, but it is a drill. It's not what I think my problem is that the problem with tech and stuff like ChatGPT or artificial intelligence is that there's so much hype, and unfortunately that hype is like 80% not going to happen today. Maybe one day, but not today.
I just can't imagine how much went on before it was released. You know, how many years it's been available to those in a private little circle
Right.
to where now we get to use it. Obviously, it's only good up through September of 2021 for relevant data, so on and so forth, to where what's actually being worked on today that we don't know about.
I think it's just the
it's
tip
crazy.
of the iceberg.
And I guess maybe Elon's not completely wrong when he said this is all simulation. I don't know.
Very much could be. That very much could be.
Well, let's take a little pause here. We like to play games with our listeners or with our guests. We try to have a little bit of fun. So we're going to do a Would You Rather game with you. Ask you a couple questions, get your perspective on a couple of things. You want to go first or you want me to go first?
Oh, you can go.
Okay. So we'll start off with one that is a lasting impact. Would you rather lose a finger or have a headache every day for the rest of your life?
Headache, because I need my fingers to type and stuff.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, I could get... Oh, no, I was the opposite. I was thinking I might be able to, like, give up a pinky finger and not have to deal with a headache every day.
Yeah. I've never had, like, migraines or anything, but, like, I've known people that have, and I'm thinking about that, and I don't want that. Like, yeah.
Well, I guess, like, if it's just a pinky finger, I could live, but, like, it can't be, like, you know what I mean? Like a finger that I use a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like every other finger except for the pinky finger. Like,
Yeah.
I use everything else.
What does the pinky finger do?
I use it a lot at work to
It gets...
hit, like, the hard keys.
Shift, yeah.
Shift, yes.
Enter.
I get paper cuts on my pinky finger, and then you remember you have a
you
pinky
and your
finger.
soft banker hands.
Oh, shut up.
Ooh.
All right.
Burn.
Would you rather be hey, easy software engineer? You're not out in the field being an agronomist anymore. All right. Would you rather be allergic to the
Hey, I was in the field recently and I got shot at, so you can't tell me.
Oh, we are going to go to that story. Hold on. So would you rather be allergic to the sun or be allergic to your own sweat?
Own sweat. I'm cool with that because then that way I don't work.
There you go.
Oh, nice. Would you rather always have a full phone battery or a full tank of gas?
Full tank of gas.
Oh, yeah? Just to travel, or you figure you can figure the phone thing out later?
Correct. Travel, and then that way I can siphon the gas out and, resell it.
Oh.
Siphon the grass out. Okay.
Smart. I didn't even think about that.
Costs money.
Yeah. This is a good ag one. Would you rather soil sample or walk beans?
Given my recent interaction, walk beans.
Okay. All right. That's a good transition.
Yep, we just might as well go
So
right
you
into
did
it.
get shot at in the field. What the hell happened?
Oh my gosh. So I want to make this clear. There was a contract signed. Like, this person signed a contract, and he knows so he's a farmer himself. So, like, he knows, like, soil sampling is, like, part of the deal, right?
Right.
And so I rolled up on the side-by-side. I did my business. I saw him, like, leaning up against the propane tank. He didn't acknowledge me, so I was like, whatever. And then I did my thing. I pulled out my list. When I got done, I drove to the end of the driveway, and like I waited because the road was a little bit busy to turn. And then all of a sudden, you know how you can like tell there's somebody walking up at you? Like I could feel it.
Yep.
I like turn around. There's a gun getting pointed at me, and then I hear it go off.
Oh.
What?
Yeah.
Like how close are we talking? Like you said, you can sense it happen.
Like, it was bad. So I don't know if you've ever been to a gun range before and like not put like your earplugs in.
Yeah.
Like it was like that deafening loud, and like my ears were ringing. And then he started yelling at me. I couldn't hear him because like my ears were ringing, but it must have been so bad to the point where his neighbors across the street, like they called 911, and like he was just I don't know, you like expletive, like what the fuck are you doing? Like this is my fucking property. And then I was just like, I wanted to run, but like I'm glad I listened to a true crime podcast about like that kid in Missouri. Like I guess like the reason he got shot was because he ran away. So I was like, okay, don't run. And then I like looked at him and I was like, how can I help you? Like I like turned on like that customer service voice that I had like when I used to work in service. I was like, how can I help you, sir? Like I want you to calm down. Like I don't want you mad either. And he was like, what are you doing? I was like, sir, I was soil sampling. Like, they're like, as you know, like you leased out ground to this farm. Like you knew this was gonna happen. And he was like, yeah. He's like, I freaking knew what you were doing. He's like, I saw your soil probe. I'm like, well, why'd you ask what was I doing then?
And why did you shoot?
But then, like, I started to notice something. He wasn't walking straight, and like when he got like close to my face, I could smell like alcohol. So I was like, okay, you're not in a mental good state right now.
Yeah.
So like, I just, like, at that point, my goal was just talk him off the ledge. So to anybody that ever gets in a situation where there's a drunk person pointing a gun at you, just, like, have a conversation with them, just get them to, like, de-escalate. And then pretty much I ended up convincing him, like, hey, if you just, like, let me go, like, just let me drive off, like, it'll be good. Like, we'll be cool. Like, just please put your gun down. I was like, that's all I ask. Like, put your gun down. Like, show me that you put the safety on. I was like, I need you to see that, like, you've got the safety on, and, like, let me go in peace, and we'll be cool.
Wow.
And obviously he did, because we're still doing this interview today.
Yeah, and I don't have a hole in my face.
That's
so
right.
That's cool.
My God. So, obviously the cops came, and he had to get in quite a bit of trouble, right?
So, like, I didn't press charges or whatever, but, like, I think since he was a truck driver, like, that was, like, his day job, like, the alcohol thing was a problem, but, yeah, no. Like, I just wanted it on record more than anything, like, if he, like, does bad behavior like this again, that there's a paper trail for him, but, yeah.
I mean, honestly,
Crazy
it's
day.
like attempted murder, right? Like,
Yeah, pretty much.
that's... Wow.
So that's I got to think of how to say this, because you just telling the story, obviously you've probably already gotten multiple online reactions to this, because what I'm going to say is that was an awfully big person of you to not press charges, to have potential perspective that he wasn't in the right state of mind and hopefully didn't mean it. But I'm sure you've gotten feedback elsewise.
Yeah, I have, and, like I said, I'm going to stick to my guns on this one. Like, people kind of know around here he's
No pun intended.
a bit on the drink. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's a bit on the drink, and, like, I just knew you're not in a good headspace, and I don't want to go through, like, the trauma of reliving it. Like, by pressing charges, you got to go relive it again, and it's like, yeah, and I don't think of myself as a victim. I think I came away unhurt, and hopefully this was a good life lesson for everybody around that, unfortunately now, farming is not a shooter-safe, like, work. You need to call, especially if you send, like, your family members into a field. It doesn't hurt now to call or send a text, too, like, hey, we're about to come in and do stuff, and, yeah, this guy was, when he was drunk and, like, yelling at me, there was one thing he said that stood out. He's like, I don't give a fuck who you are. He's like, if you're not the effing person that I signed the contract with, he's like, I've got every right to shoot, like, anybody.
Jeez. Man, I'm going to start packing heat. I'll just shoot back.
Hey, yeah. Well, I guess, like, that gets hairy, too, because I got bored and I started, like, looking up, like, gun laws in my state, and, like, I guess, like, if you're on their property, though, like, they actually have rights over you. So, I don't know. Check your state castle law or whatever.
Yeah, there is some of those states that, if you're on their property, there's not much you can do, which, man, that's crazy. Man, you've been through some shit.
Well, yeah, and you seem to have dealt with it quite well. I mean, the number of commenters, I'm assuming, because I haven't fleshed through the comment sections, is when you switched from ag to coding, and when you told your story about getting shot at, how do you deal with those negative comments? You just shut it out? How's that work?
I think so, and I like to chalk it up to they don't know the full story, or they only read, like, maybe the first, like, couple of sentences that I had, and it's really hard now with short-form media to get the full nuance of everything. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just another person behind a keyboard, so I guess I'm really good at compartmentalizing when it comes to that, but they don't get to me, and at least that's what I tell myself, is that they're just another person behind a keyboard.
Yeah, that's interesting, is we don't get very many negative comments on the podcast, but we almost take them as humorous.
They are always funny.
Because when we get them, just like you said, we got one that they didn't even listen to the episode. They saw the titling and felt the titling was sexist. Like you didn't even listen.
What'd you guys do?
You didn't
Well,
even
it's
listen.
called The Business of Fatherhood, but that was because that was
What?
the guy's business. It's
Yeah.
called The Business of Fatherhood, but we talked about.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
You go ahead, Tanner.
Wait,
So-
somebody got mad? Okay, I was thinking like when you said like sexist title, like it was something to do with women, not fatherhood. I don't know.
No, they
Correct.
said it was sexist because we didn't say anything about women in the title.
Yep. Felt that we didn't
No.
appreciate that there were mothers that influenced children. Like, did you listen to the show? Like, the show's about parenting, period.
Yeah.
His business is called The Business of Fatherhood because he's a dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that makes total sense.
Yeah. The other thing that I thought was interesting as we followed your journey is you have an ambitious goal to retire soon.
Correct.
And you said you're 28?
Correct.
Soon after 28 is not very long.
Sounds nice.
Yep, that's correct.
What? Tell us this. How did this come about?
I think I always knew, even at like a young age, that I didn't like the idea of answering to somebody forever. Like, I understood, yeah, you got to answer to people, but I think when it came to doing the work or, like, I guess enjoying life, or like when I said in the beginning, like enjoying the journey of life, that financial freedom would have to be part of my journey. And that journey to financial freedom, I guess I subscribe to that FIRE method. That's, I guess, the new hot term. But pretty much, I have a magic number. Most people know the calculated number is like $2.5 million. And then you don't have to like work or do any income contribution. And then you're pretty much set for life as long as you don't blow over $90K a year. So, and I think I can live pretty nicely off like $90K and not do anything. And then I guess the thing that I combined along with the FIRE method is the use of passive incomes, and option trading being one of them. Another passive income is my print-on-demand businesses that I have through Etsy and Shopify, and then of course creating custom scripts that I do for like Agfluence, and yeah.
Wow.
Whoa.
Very cool. We haven't got into the
We don't have
trading.
we don't have any passive income.
We haven't got into the print on demand. Let's talk about trading. Are you trading commodities? What are you trading?
Option trading. So
Options,
cash
that's
secured puts, covered calls. But of course I do like the regular, what do you call it? You throw it into your 401k, pick the S&P 500 and don't look at it ever again.
Right.
Thing.
So how do you?
But I
how
have
did you
limits
learn
on
that?
it.
How did you learn that? That's technical stuff.
Was that YouTube?
YouTube, yeah.
Jesus.
When I was 18.
What?
Oh, shit.
You were
Well,
good at
I
that.
guess I better back up. I'll credit like getting into stocks and stuff to a guy that was at my bar when I was at Hooters. I saw him on his laptop. He was like furiously like typing and he was trading, and I didn't understand what he was doing, and like I decided to be nosy and ask him, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then it turned into like a 4-hour conversation where he just pretty much like in like dumb people terms explained to me like how to buy, sell, trade, and what option trading was.
So are you like day trading that you're in and out like all the time?
No,
No.
I don't day trade. I think that's gambling, but that's, I don't know. People might fight me on, I might get canceled for saying that, but I think it's gambling. What I do though is like, I buy a contract or like sell the contract, but it's like I put it out 45 days. So like I don't look at it until like the 45 days are up.
Okay. Nice.
I don't day trade because I know I'd suck at it.
How? You've been good at everything you've done.
Yeah.
I don't think so. You haven't seen me golf, and my driving's a little questionable. I'm sorry.
Oh, you just
Like,
that
like
has.
it's like a panic. Like I have a mini panic attack when I go park my pickup truck in like the Walmart parking lot. Like there's like a
Hey.
mini panic attack.
So does Tanner.
Shut
Tanner
up.
cannot figure out where to park in a parking lot full of endless parking
I'm
spots.
scanning for the most efficient spot to park in.
He will circle it 3 times.
It's called wellness walking.
Okay, well, he's doing it out of efficiency. I just like have like a fear that happens, and I'm like so thankful that like so my pickup, it's a GMC Canyon. Like I'm so thankful the thing shakes like right before I go hit something.
It shakes.
I cannot wait for the women and Asian driver comments that we're gonna get
Oh, jeez.
on this episode.
Here we go.
Yeah, I'm not helping the cause, but like I'm being honest, and like that's the reason why I'm not helping out on my boyfriend's farm and why I'm not driving the semi or tractor is because
You're going to sit behind the
of that
computer.
performance.
That's funny. Yeah. I need you to make the rest of my life easier,
Yeah.
so I'll go drive the tractor. Yes.
Yeah, that's...
Pretty much, yeah. That's the agreement that we had, and no, I think it's that's the reason why I think we successfully have like no conflicts. I know you've had like Emily and Mary Pat on here too that like talked about like that type of partnership, and we do something kind of radical. I didn't realize it was radical until I posted a TikTok and talked about it with like our peers, where we don't get into each other's business. That's our goal, and then yeah. Like, I don't know. It's best that I know less about the farm type of situation is what we have, and he doesn't really know what I really do either. But we still support each other, and I think that's where the message got lost.
So I like this because this is very similar to my wife and I. My wife's a nurse, and she has supported the farm, but really has no idea I mean, she hasn't spent a whole day on the farm ever, driving a tractor or anything like that. And I'm completely fine with it. I just keep the farm account separate from our account because there might be $100,000 in there one day and there might be $5 in there the next because it's in and out, and I don't want her thinking that, oh, look at all this money, I'm going to go buy a new van or something when it's spent already.
Yep, same. I don't know what happens financially or like day to day what goes on, but I mean, I'll ask him like, how's your day, and like I'll bring food to the field, like if he's nearby, like I'll go grab whatever he needs. But no, I'm fully supportive. We just we have a separation of concerns.
Honestly, that makes me feel so good because in ag, it always seems like, well, I got my wife and she's brings out food and then she drives the tractor and does that there's like a stereotypical husband and wife, right? And it feels like if you're not living that, it's like, well, why am I an outsider? But
well, you're not. There's a lot of us.
Thank you. I also don't live on the farm. I live in town, which is also weird to people. Yep.
That's not weird. That's smart.
Yeah, with the way land prices are and everything, and I have a separation of work and home a little bit, so I'm not constantly trying to, hey, supper's done, and maybe I'll go back out and spend 3 more hours in the shop or something like that and not have family life.
Sounds like a very balanced life.
Yeah. What do you got to say, Tanner?
I don't know how to say it. So everything that my wife and I have is joint.
Right.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Very traditional.
Is it?
That's traditional.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. But I also look at from the professional side that if something happens to your boyfriend, say he's husband sometime down the road, and you now have to write the check to pay for seed, if you have no idea what's going on, what do you do after something happens to him? What?
It's going up for sale.
But there's a period of time between.
My wife's not going to take over if I die.
No, but there's a period of time in between that decisions have to be made and some type of a perspective. I totally get it. I bet that it's very clean because there are conversations that my wife and I have around what just came out of the account because it wasn't shared, communicated, and those probably get avoided. But then there's also times to where it's the opposite, to where she asks me if she could go get something. I'm like, well, yeah, you don't have to ask. It's an our we thing. So I could see where being separate helps, but it's also nice just having a pool.
I've got that too. I've got a joint account.
Yeah.
But I keep the farm account separate. If that makes any sense. Right.
Joint account makes sense, but like only one thing shared where it's like very obvious like what happens to that one thing versus sharing everything. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't like the point of a farm succession plan like so if like God forbid somebody eats it, like there's a plan for what happens?
Yeah, but who
Correct.
has those? Right? We all talk about it, but there's like what? I wonder what the percentage of farms that have a succession
Elaine has
plan.
told us it's like less than 30%.
I bet it's less than that.
Oh wait, really? Wow.
They might have one up here, but if it's not on paper or, at a lawyer's office.
Well, I know this one's on paper.
That's
so.
good.
Yeah. But does it, I mean, obviously you're in the current role as girlfriend. If that changes, the plan has to change, right? Or no?
Oh yeah. I mean, like obviously it's got to change.
Well, it
but,
changes
like,
legally then.
Yeah.
But does it?
But I guess
Anything
Oh,
after
really?
that happens, after you get married, is 50% hers.
Oh,
Before
never mind.
before
There we go.
that would be up for debate, but
Right.
that's why everyone's
Interesting.
like, I get a prenup, but if you haven't done anything and then you do everything after you get married,
Right.
it doesn't matter. Maybe this is not legal advice. It's allegedly, but that's just what I've heard.
Yeah. Hashtag no legal advice.
That's right. Yeah. Nobody listens to us for legal advice. They know better.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, I feel like at least I think Corey can share this sentiment. It's like having stuff with the separation of concerns just creates a no conflict zone.
Yep.
Or like lessens the conflict zone.
Yeah. Yep.
I wonder how many of our listeners are in. If I'm traditional, you feel like more of our listeners are joint.
I mean, I feel like the ones that I always see, like, oh, me and my wife, we're starting our farm, and it's them together, and they're both farming together, and, maybe they both work the farm themselves, and everything's joint. I feel like that's traditional. It's easier to be, I think it's easier to be traditional in your role because you both have
Wages.
You both have W-2 jobs, 9 to 5 salaries, right? That's really easy to calculate.
Geez, who works 9 to 5 anymore? It's
Right.
more like
you work
10
like
to 2 o'clock.
11 to 2, yeah. So, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I
do,
think,
yeah.
I feel like that's easier. You can budget easier. Like, having W-2 one and then someone else's a farm that might make money one year and lose money the next, it's extremely hard to budget for anything. You know that. You're a banker. You see all the balance sheets.
I get it. Yeah.
So
Interesting. Good
I
perspective.
protect her from the good times and like, yeah, we really don't have the money for that right now. Like type stuff.
Yeah.
But,
So what's next for Marcia? I mean, obviously
Retirement.
We're working towards retirement, and retirement can mean a lot of things, right? It just means you do what you want to do when you want to do it.
That is correct. I think somebody commented, they're like, oh, are you just going to lay around at a pool all day? I'm like, I know I can't because of how I'm just wired. I think at that point I'd just pursue all the other passion projects I have, especially in the arts. And this sounds really nerdy, but I would really love to go back to school and like learn history and like anthropology. I know that sounds really nerdy, but like that's something I feel like I'd really like to do. When I was in school at Michigan State, I would sneak into the anthropology class because I was that much of a nerd. And even though I didn't sign up for the class because, well, I couldn't afford it and it wouldn't help me toward my degree, I just would sit there and listen.
that's cool.
You're right. That does sound really nerdy.
It is a nerdy.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm just exposing myself out here.
But yeah, if you retire and you can live out, I mean, you can go to school for way less than $90K and still have plenty of left over. What's your goal? What age to retire by?
No later than 35.
Oh,
But I have the day, like the actual day, as in between turning 33 and 34. Like I calculated it to the day.
And that is based off of your stocks, trades, and your salary for coding?
Correct, and then along with my passive incomes, and then of course IRA and other investments that I have, crypto, all that fun stuff. But I don't really count the crypto because
Crypto.
it's just too crazy.
What's
out
your
there.
what's your major bag with crypto? What's your biggest
So
holding?
I can expose myself now. So the reason I got into Bitcoin like early is because when I was at school at Michigan State, and if anybody listening here went to Michigan State, they'll understand this. there's a place called Jana's and then a place called Quality Dairy to get alcohol. Obviously, I was underage, so I wanted to get me an ID that could scan. So I learned you could buy one of those from China, and I found out like the seller would only accept Bitcoin, so that's how I learned about crypto and bought into Bitcoin because
Am I
I
allowed
wanted
to make a
myself a
joke?
fake ID.
Go for it. Maybe not. I don't know.
So to get an ID from China, is it just because people at the dairy barn or whatever just think all Chinese look alike? Is that the...
No, like I got like well, so I guess I better explain. The places where I knew like they wouldn't like check your ID, like now it's obviously changed. So kids listening to this at Michigan State, it's probably changed. I would give them like a Japanese library card. So like obviously the bouncer can't read Japanese, and then it had like the date, like my birth date on it, but obviously backdated. And like the bouncers thought I was like Asian, like a foreign exchange student for like 3 years, and then like senior year I rolled up with like my real ID, and they were like, "Wait, you're American?" And then like I actually like started speaking in English, and they're like, "Oh my God, you have like no accent."
No, I'm German.
Yes. German.
Yeah,
How
pretty
dare
much. I was
you.
like, "Yeah, I'm German, guys." I was like,
That's
"That's on
funny.
you for internal racism." I'm
So,
assuming, but
what was the price of Bitcoin at that time?
I forgot. It was to the point where pretty much God, what price was it? I can't remember like when I first bought in, but pretty much I put like only like a few $100, and then like I think it was I forgot about it, so I did my fake ID thing. I still had a few $100 in there, like just in case like if a friend or something wanted to also get one.
Yep.
And then when I checked it again, like it paid off a good amount of like my student loans and then my pickup truck.
Holy shit.
So it might have been a few $100.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like it was like I don't think it was like the conversion was exactly $1. Like I remember I was like, oh, I think like when I had to like buy it, like I bought too much pretty much because I didn't understand the conversion of Bitcoin to like US dollars, and then also the fact that I was buying it, the person was from China and the Chinese yuan. Like I was an 18-year-old kid, so like I didn't quite understand like conversions, like currency conversions at that time.
Well, you were already way
I just,
further
like-
than I was at 18.
I guess I will credit. I think one thing I am good about is that I'm not afraid to try stuff, and I guess I've gotten to a point now where I found out like you got to try stuff, but almost like create like a safe testing environment or a safe fail environment where like it's okay if you like fall on your face. You just got to know like what you're gonna lose.
Right.
Wow.
Bitcoin today is at $26,708. I bought back in at 15.
And now I just set it and forget it.
So that's pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Set it and forget it, because that's best investment. Just set it, forget it, and don't think about it again.
Do you have any Dogecoin?
I did during that whole Elon situation,
thing?
and then I lost a little bit on that, but like I had limits. So like when I did the trade, like I had like a limit. So like when the price was dropping, it would automatically sell. So.
Just love that.
You could-
Automatically. I just love that.
See, that's not fair. You can automate this. You can make a trading program, probably.
No, this is built in. I think people don't understand. Like when you go like buy a stock like on Ameritrade or Vanguard or whatever you use, like you can pretty much set all these automations up yourself, and it's not that hard.
You're right. Most people don't realize that. You're spot on.
Which I find a little strange that people don't teach. I guess it's not strange that people don't teach that, but
Right.
I don't know. I think there might be a bigger reason why it's not taught in schools, or why we don't tell people when they do sign up for like an investment account, hey, by the way, there's like other stuff to do other than buy, sell.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So we try to think of a lot of the questions for conversations like this, but what else are we missing? What is exciting that without us knowing what the question is, our listeners wouldn't know?
I've got a big merch drop coming real soon under Agfluence, and got some cool stuff coming. So
Sweet. When
be
does
on the
that
lookout for
happen?
that. The day before this thing releases, so it'd be really cool if you tell me like the day this podcast is going to drop.
So this podcast is going to drop June 22nd.
All right, perfect. So June 21st is the day of my launch.
Can you?
First day of summer.
It is.
Perfect.
That's awesome. How do people find that? Do they just search Agfluence?
Correct, Agfluence. And yeah, it's a play on two words, influencer and ag, and yeah, we put it together.
You know, we don't have any shirts.
We don't have any merch.
We did.
Get on that.
Yeah.
What? Have you thought about print on demand?
No, we need to.
I mean,
We need to.
we've thought a lot about it. It just doesn't get done.
So when
We
you
need-
say
we need it
print
automated.
on demand, that means like someone orders one and then it prints and ships. Like we don't have to touch it.
Correct. No inventory. Zero
That's
inventory.
what we need.
And everything's automagic.
Yes.
That's what we need.
Well, you might be.
I like to call it you buy once, cry once, where like to set it up, it sucks, but like you cry once, and after that, you never had to deal with it again.
Right. I like it. Like it.
Interesting.
Are you doing hats too?
Correct. Yes. Hats, stickers, and shirts, and a couple really funny farm-related shirts.
Okay. And you'll do this?
Yeah, I think you guys will be interested because there's stuff that we do with Iowa and Nebraska. So.
Nice.
Oh, I bet I have no idea what that shirt's about.
But you'll do this for
Use your
brands?
imagination.
You'll do this for brands like us and stuff?
Yeah, if asked, that's actually what we do with Agfluence. So
Okay.
you reach out to us directly, and this is to anybody too. Reach out to us directly, and we can get you set up with a website. We can get the Printify set up for you if you want, and yeah, it'll be cool. If
So-
you find that to be too much of a headache.
So I had, I got the Bush Light Combine, or one of the Bush Lights Combines, right? And I had a shirt that said, "Show me your bush." Well, there's a sticker on it right there, right? That "Show me your bush," and then had the picture of the Bush Light Combine on the back. And those sold like freaking hotcakes. I took them to one truck pull, and then online, like sold out of most of them. Reordered again, but I didn't have a website. And I didn't want to make one, so I never automatically did it. And I got so freaking tired of taking people like, "Hey, send Venmo to this or PayPal."
Do you
to
still
that.
have a small?
I
Do you still have a medium? No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not asking you for real.
Right? No, like I probably do have a couple smalls left though, because like I sold out of obviously like the larges and extra larges and 2X like tomorrow, like yesterday. So
Oh wow, I think you guys might be a very good candidate for print on demand. Like the beauty of print on demand is that like you upload that design that you were just talking about, and you can literally put it on anything you want. And then once you do that, you set it up. Once people hit buy, like, and you can send it anywhere, Etsy, Shopify, or connect it to like the Farm4Profit website if you
Right.
even wanted to. And then as long as they enter their address in correctly, so that's the only human error that could happen is that they put in their own address wrong. And when it goes to send, it'll automatically take their address. It'll take whatever size they ordered, and you do nothing, and it shows up to their house.
that's awesome.
Sweet.
I like it.
Packs it for them too. Packs it too if you want. Yeah, they'll pack it.
Very cool.
A little bonus nugget here for the true listeners that listen all the way to the end.
Yep.
I love it. So if our listeners want to follow you, what are your social handles?
Marcia C 95 _ and that's just what it is everywhere. And then my Stan link, so like on all my social media pages, that actually has a link to where they can learn about Printify, learn about coding, and pretty much everything that I ever talked about.
Very cool.
Nice. And then lastly, we ask all of our guests the same question so we can kind of get a comparable show of questions put together. And I think you're going to be great at it. And
She probably does. If you listen to another show, you haven't heard this one yet.
That's right. That's right.
It's a new question.
If you could go back to yourself at age 18 and tell yourself anything, any advice, what would you tell yourself if you could speak to you at age 18, knowing what you know now?
Don't be afraid to start over, and don't get caught up in the sunk cost fallacy.
Explain
And
that.
of course, learn to code. I believe a lot of us are guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. We get into a sunk cost fallacy where we feel like, oh, I put so much time, energy, money, effort into this. Like, there's no way I should quit. Where I think if something is not doing good for you mentally, physically, financially, spiritually, you should make a hard assessment to quit. And it is okay to quit, even if you put tons of time, money, and energy. And it is absolutely more than okay if it's costing your mental, physical, and spiritual health.
That's the best advice we've ever got.
I'm never going to see Corey again.
That's
He's done
the
with
best
the podcast.
advice
He's off. He's out. I'm never
ever
going to see
got.
him again.
It's so
I thought
true.
you guys were going to ask me the happiness question.
Well, if you want to answer that, you can too. Or what's defines success?
Yeah.
But no, that
No, it's the convergence. For me, it's the convergence of happiness, security, and here's the big kicker, fulfillment. And that varies by people. So by those standards, yes, I am successful, but I got to keep, for me, fulfillment is moving that goalpost, and my next goalpost is early retirement.
right.
Previously, it was software engineering.
I'm super pumped to find out what the goalpost is after retirement. I mean, it's so exciting to watch what you've done in the last 6 years. I mean, I've probably followed you for 4, and I don't want to sound like a creeper, but
Creep.
4-ish.
I followed you since that night at
You did soil samples.
No.
On
the night at Hooters
And got shot
when you
at.
were that drunk guy up there.
I'm the one that taught him
Oh, it was
options
you.
trading.
It was you.
It's you, Tanner.
It took this.
You
It
told me what option trading was.
Yeah.
it took 7 phone numbers later to get through to her. She kept blocking me. Yeah. Got to wearing a mask. New face on right now.
Yeah. No, that advice I think is so good. I can put that right to the Aroni Berry deal. You know, like we had so much time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears into that thing, and it's like, it's got to go. It's got to go. It's time for the next thing. And it hurts, but once you do it, it feels so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we don't talk about that enough. I feel like in social media you see everybody's successes, highlight reels, but like, God, yeah, it's totally cool and totally normal to have a long list of failures. I mean, like, even my print-on-demand business, I think I probably screwed up like at least 500 times before I got a couple of things right.
Right. There was a song. I was trying to find a song, and I found another one I was listening to. I think it was like Charles Wesley Godwin or someone that's like Zach Bryan. And it was like, things are never as good or as bad as they seem on social media or something like that. Like,
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Marcia, this has been a pleasure. This was a lot of fun. I hope you had fun. I did.
Yeah,
Corey?
this was awesome.
Yeah.
I did, even though we went well over the hour, but
Hey.
I didn't look at the clock till now.
Hey.
Isn't that the best part when you don't look and you go, oh, wow, that was fast?
We might be coming to Michigan
There's a
later this
chance.
month, too. So if we...
Wait, what?
Yeah. And we'd probably be driving by you. So might have to stop in and say
Come
hi or
stop by.
something.
Stop and have a drink?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, we can watch the Amish back their boat into the water with their Belgian horses. Yeah, it'll be cool.
Oh, that would be a TikTok right there.
That would be fun.
How many horsepower is that?
That's cool.
Yep.
But
All
no,
2 of them.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. A pleasure. Listeners, we thank you for tuning in. Corey, I thank you for co-hosting. I'm just so thankful
Yeah.
today.
Thanks to Kiowa for this masticha.
Yeah.
I say,
The sweet pine tree.
crack a bush light. You deserve it.